Hey Scrappers, it's Vanessa here with my second layout for sketch-inspired One Sketch Two Ways with Vanessa and Lisa. And for this one, as you see there, we are doing a 2-page sketch. So for myself, I will be taking on the challenge of creating a layout using this sketch as a 1-page layout, and Lisa will do the traditional 2-page layout using that sketch. So if you haven't checked out the first video in the series, make sure you go back and check that out. And don't forget to also hop over to Lisa's channel and make sure you see her take on each of the sketches each week as well. So first and foremost for this one, I had a challenge to figure out how I wanted to use both sides of this 2-page layout and make it on a 1-page. I didn't want to go and have it be exactly as the sketch. I want to keep some elements like these two border pieces on the side, but I did decide to do a cutout with my silhouette because I'm only using 2 photos for my layout. And so this sketch actually has 4, and so I wanted to definitely fill up the space on the page because not only was I only using 2 photos, but they were small photos. So you'll see here as we go along how I do keep sort of the feel of the sketch with the border papers on the side, and then that sun sort of takes the place of the top photo on the one side of the sketch. And then apart from that, I kind of keep 2 of the clusters, the one on the second page and then the one where the title is. However, my title does not go where it shows on the sketch. So you'll see as we go along sort of where I end up putting everything and how everything kind of comes together for this one. So first what I'm doing here is I'm just sort of laying out all the things that I think I'm going to use. You saw my 2 photos. I went ahead and I cut those apart. And I was trying to decide whether or not I was going to mat both those photos on the same piece of pattern paper, or was I going to mat them separately. And so while I was trying to decide what I was going to do, I decided to work on these banners or these paper pieces that are going to be off to the left side of my layout. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm kind of thinking the whole time of, how I want to do it. How do I want to mat these photos? And eventually here you'll see I do decide to do each picture on a separate piece of pattern paper, and they will sort of lay beside each other. But eventually I decided, I like the idea of matting them separately. And so you're going to see here, I am going to go ahead and sort of lay everything out so you'll get a general idea of how I want this layout to come together. And so once I sort of knew what I wanted the background to look like in all my layers, I did go ahead and gut this blue, very light pale blue piece of cardstock. So I'm going to use that as a mat around the outside of my photo, but I also wanted to use a piece of it to frame these 2 pieces of pattern paper that my photos will go on as well. Just to pull in a little bit of that color from the back. These photos, I've turned them black and white, but they are pool pictures, and so I definitely wanted to bring in that summer feel to these pictures. And so I thought the blue paper and the colors, they kind of just scream warm weather and, pool time and summer. So that is what I ended up doing, is putting that blue paper in behind those 2 pieces of pattern paper that my photos will get matted on. I also decided on those 2 strips of paper that I'm going to layer there to the left side. I did grab a piece of lace trim that I am going to add as a little extra detail to the side of that stack of papers, or the 2 sort of layers of paper that'll be over there. And I like the texture that brings in. It brings in another interesting element and some texture to this layout. I didn't actually do any mixed media to the background of this one, so adding that kind of gives it a little bit more interest. And now I have grabbed what my main embellishment on this page will end up being, and that is this pack of very old, and I want to say these are from Pebbles, and they are really, really, really old. I don't even know if they ever were for a collection, but they're just a whole pack of sort of floral die cuts. And so I found these in my stash, and I thought, you know, I really should try to get these used up. And so I decided to pull those out, and the colors just reminded me of summer, and they matched the colors of the papers that I pulled perfectly. And so I thought it was the perfect opportunity to use those. So you see here now I've laid out the 3 clusters. I've added a 3rd cluster that the sketch really doesn't have, but I like the idea of 3 clusters on my pages, or the majority of my pages usually have 3 clusters. And so I added that one up there at the top of the sun. So in addition to adding the flowers, I did grab some ephemera pieces. I have a chipboard little arrow, another little chipboard frame, I guess you could call it. And then I did cut, or punch, I should say, from a piece of pattern paper, which I believe was Paige Evans Fancy Free. And the majority of these papers are from Paige Evans Fancy Free line. A few of them are just pieces from my stash, but those are the majority of the papers that I'm working with here. And so I went ahead and put some of those punch circles in each of the clusters. I think I chose this, I tried to stay with that blue color, a darker blue color, and punch the same circle out for each of the clusters, so it kind of kept a cohesive balance of colors. I tried to do the same thing with the flowers to try to keep everything cohesive and the colors all sort of matching and going together. So the next thing that I am doing is I am spelling out my title, and I did use some Bella Boulevard white, what are they? I forget the kind of, I don't have the alphabet in front of me. They are puffy stickers. Anyway, they're a white puffy sticker alpha. And I am using some of those old, I think they're Pen Pal from AV Tan to finish my title, which is Bathing Beauties. And it's going to go there in the sun, which is definitely different from the sketch. But I liked how having it on the sun sort of really pulled it into the photos and just sort of made the whole layout come together. And so, as you can see, I've kind of laid everything out, but I have not glued everything down. So I'm going to cut this striped paper, or diagonal striped paper, into a banner shape on both ends. And then I'm going to lay everything back out. And I don't make you watch me glue everything down, but I will glue everything down off camera, as well as do my journaling on a small, or an offcut, I should say, of a Project Life card. And you'll see in a second here where I'm going to stick that Project Life card. So just a reminder that if you are following along with our little fun series here, that at the end of June, so I'm going to leave it open for a month, but at the end of June, I am going to have a drawing for a $20 gift card to scrapbook.com for anyone who does go ahead and play along and create a layout based on any of the 4 sketches that you'll see over this month. And so be sure that if you do, that you put in the comments on any of the 4 videos where I can find your layout, and I will enter you in that drawing. And yeah, you'll be able to buy yourself some fun goodies. So while I was talking, I did go off camera and I did glue everything down. And so I'm just finishing up the layout now with some of these little teeny tiny triangle enamel stickers from Chickanitty. And these are quite old, and they're fiddly because they're so tiny. So they were a bit of a challenge to get in each of the clusters, but I did go ahead and put a couple in each of the clusters just to add sort of a final finishing touch, and that ends up being all that I do to this layout. So be sure to hop over to Lisa's channel and check out her take on this sketch. And be sure to come back next Saturday when you'll see our next sketch in the series, which will be back to a one-page sketch. So I will see you guys later. The photos and picture of the sketch are coming up at the end, and I will link everything below in the description. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.